You're an Omega, Dean muttered, his voice low, almost disbelieving. Alex flinched, his body trembling as another wave of heat crashed over him. He struggled to sit upright, the chains rattling against the stone wall, but his strength gave out. A soft whimper escaped his lips before he could swallow it down. "Don't," Alex managed, his voice raw and shaky. Yet even in his vulnerability, his eyes burned with defiance. Dean ignored the warning, stepping closer, his nostrils flaring. "You've been hiding this," he said, his voice edged with accusation. Alex's jaw clenched, his chest heaving. "Why do you care? Just finish it. Kill me and be done with it." Dean crouched beside him, close enough that Alex could feel the Alpha's oppressive presence. "Kill you?" he echoed, his tone cold but curious. "I won't hurt Omegas." He leaned in, his voice dropping. "And don't act like I'd let them tear you apart either." Alex froze as soothing pheromones washed over him, calming and infuriating all at once. "Get away," he hissed, twisting weakly against his restraints. Dean's gaze softened, just barely, as if something about Alex's trembling form gave him pause. "Rest," he said, his voice calm now. "I won't let them near you." Alex's laugh was bitter. "You expect me to believe that? You're a monster." Dean didn't flinch. Instead, he reached for the chains, unlocking them with a flick of his wrist. The heavy iron fell to the floor with a loud clang. "What?" Alex tried to push himself back, but his limbs betrayed him, shaking too hard to hold his weight. Before Alex could protest further, Dean slid an arm under his knees and another behind his back, lifting him effortlessly. Alex tensed, his voice sharp despite the tremble in it. "Put me down." Alex's head lolled against Dean's shoulder, his exhaustion overriding his instinct to fight. The warmth of Dean's body, the Alpha's scent, it was amazingly comforting. "Why are you doing this?" he mumbled, his voice faint. Dean didn't answer until they reached his room. "Because I want to." He pushed the door open and carried Alex to the bed, placing him down gently. Alex turned away, curling under the covers. Despite himself, Dean's calming scent filled the room, and his breathing slowed until he drifted into uneasy sleep. Dean stood by the door, watching with a mix of frustration and something softer, before leaving silently. Next morning, soft light filtered through the curtains as Alex stirred, his body aching. It took a moment to realize he was in Dean's room. Memories of being unchained and soothed by the man who had hurt him flooded back. He sat up quickly, his muscles trembling. Shame and anger twisted inside as he took in the clean, warm room, so different from the cold cell he had endured. The door creaked open, and Alex froze as Dean entered, a tray of food in hand. Their eyes met briefly before Dean set the tray on the bedside table. "You're awake," Dean said. "Why do you care?" Alex snapped, his voice hoarse. "I didn't ask for this." Dean's gaze flickered to Alex, a mix of irritation and something unreadable in his expression. "You needed help. I gave it." Alex let out a bitter laugh. "Help? Is that what you call this? Locking me in a cell, torturing me, and then playing the hero when my body gives out?" Dean crossed his arms, his voice edged with warning. "You would have died, Alex." "Good," Alex shot back, his brown eyes blazing. "Better than being your prisoner." Dean's jaw tightened. He leaned against the wall, his piercing gaze never leaving Alex. "You're stubborn. I'll give you that." Alex glared at him, his hands gripping the blanket tightly. "What do you want from me, Dean? You've already taken everything. My freedom, my mission, my dignity. Isn't that enough?" Dean's eyes narrowed. "You think I enjoy this? Keeping you here, cleaning up your mess?" "My mess?" Alex barked, his voice rising despite his exhaustion. "You're the one running a drug cartel, smuggling weapons and killing people without blinking. My only crime was trying to stop you." Dean stepped closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Your only crime was lying to me. Do you know what happens to people who lie to me, Alex?" "I can guess," Alex bit out, his tone sharp but trembling. Dean paused, his storm-gray eyes scanning Alex's face. Something in Alex's vulnerable expression made him hesitate. He sighed, stepping back. "Eat," he said, nodding to the tray. "You need your strength." Alex shoved the tray away, the clatter of dishes breaking the tense silence. "I don't want your food." Dean's patience frayed. "Stop being so damn difficult." "Then let me go," Alex snapped. "You know I won't," Dean said, his tone softening slightly. "You're dead to the outside world, Alex. Where would you even go? The word struck Alex like a blow. He clenched his fists, his chest heaving with suppressed emotion. I don't care. Anywhere but here. Dean sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. Eat, he repeated, his voice quieter now. Or don't, but you'll regret it later. He turned and left. Alex stared at the untouched food, hunger and anger churning inside him. He wanted to scream or throw it, but instead he slumped against the headboard, his mind racing. By evening, Dean returned with a doctor. Alex tensed as they entered, his instincts screaming to resist. Sit up, the doctor ordered, setting a black bag on the nightstand. I'm fine, Alex muttered, glaring at Dean. I don't need a checkup. Dean's expression darkened. You'll let him examine you, or I'll make you. Of course you will, Alex said bitterly. But he sat up, his movements stiff and reluctant. The doctor worked quickly, checking Alex's pulse, temperature, and other vitals. His frown deepened as he inspected the wounds on Alex's body and marks on his skin. Your Omega is dangerously undernourished, the doctor said to Dean, his tone professional but firm. And those drugs he's been taking, scent blockers, hormone suppressants, they're wreaking havoc on his system. Alex scowled. I don't need a lecture. The doctor ignored him, addressing Dean again. If he doesn't start the detox process soon, it'll do permanent damage. Dean nodded, his jaw tight. What does he need? The doctor pulled a vial and a bottle of pills from his bag. These will flush the toxins from his system and stabilize his omega traits. He won't feel like himself for a while, but it's necessary. Alex's stomach twisted. He eyed the pills like they were poison. I'm not taking those. Dean's eyes snapped to Alex, his expression hardening. You don't have a choice. Alex's laugh was sharp, humorless. What are you going to do? Force feed me? Dean stepped closer, his imposing figure casting a shadow over Alex. If I have to. The tension crackled between them. Alex knocked the pills from the nightstand, sending them scattering to the floor. Go to hell. Dean's patience broke. He grabbed the bottle, poured pills into his hand, and swallowed them. Before Alex could react, Dean seized his chin and kissed him forcefully, transferring the pills. Alex struggled weakly, his fists hitting Dean's chest, but it was useless. When Dean finally pulled back, Alex coughed, glaring daggers at him. You bastard. Dean wiped his mouth, his expression calm but firm. You'll take the next dose willingly, or we'll do this again. The doctor, unbothered by the tension, packed his bag and stood. I'll check on him in a few days. Make sure he rests. Dean nodded, his gaze never leaving Alex. When the door shut, Alex turned his face away, his voice trembling with suppressed rage. You think this changes anything? I still hate you. Dean's voice was low, almost soft. Hate me all you want. That night, Alex lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His body felt strange, his Omega instincts pushing against his defenses. Memories of Dean, his touch, his scent, his steady presence, gnawed at him in ways he didn't want to admit. No matter Dean's intentions, Alex refused to let himself rely on anyone. Over the next month, Alex healed quickly, but his Omega nature grew stronger, unsettling him. Dean cared for him, always ensuring his safety and comfort. Yet with each kind act, Alex felt himself losing control. He hated how much he needed someone. Then, Alex's second heat arrived, stronger than the first. The need it brought was overwhelming. His body ached, and his mind was clouded with desire. He fought to keep himself together, but it was too much. Dean was right there, watching over him. The air between them felt thick with tension as Alex's body reacted to the heat. He wanted Dean, needed him, but his pride told him to hold back. Alpha, I can't. I need you. Alex breathed, his voice shaking. Dean took a deep breath, his heart racing. Alex, I can't do this. You're not yourself right now. But Alex's instincts were stronger. He reached out for Dean, desperate, and in that moment, Dean couldn't fight it anymore. He was with Alex in an instant, their bodies entwining as the desire between them finally took over. In the rush of passion, Dean marked Alex, his teeth grazing the skin of Alex's neck. For a moment, everything went still. The next morning, Alex woke up, his hand instinctively going to the mark on his neck. A feeling of horror and confusion washed over him. He was bound to Dean now in a way he couldn't escape. He felt trapped, as if his very being had changed forever.